And as soon as we cross over the freeway, tell me why this man literally rams my truck. So you have to imagine that when we're traveling, he's slightly behind me and he shoves his vehicle into mine in an attempt to fishtail my truck over like this. Well, my truck takes it like a champ because I have a really large truck, and it takes it like a champ and it rattles me, but I regain my control over my vehicle. And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, like what happened?" I'm stunned. Don't realize what's happened. I just can't even believe that that happened to me.
Well, 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 and welcome to Not Your Podcast. It's me, Christina with the T, and of course, my bestie V. We're going to start right away because the topic we're talking about today, it's personal, and it's very important for your protection. Ain't that right, V?
Yes, it is, Christina. It absolutely is. I called you Saturday morning to kind of let you know what had happened over the weekend. And for some reason, it seems like you and I are always on the same page. It's so weird because you're hundreds and hundreds of miles away from me, but we're always seem to be on the same wavelength. And it just so happened that on Friday night, more like Saturday morning around midnight, my son called me to let me know that he needed a ride home because he had had an incident where he had bottomed out in his car, and so he needed a ride home and a tow. So I went to go grab him, and it was again 12 o'clock. I'm driving. It's only 15 miles down the road. I'm thinking, okay, I'll get there in just a few minutes. 15 miles down the road, so I'll get there in just a few minutes. So I'm driving. I get off the freeway, and I drive a truck, a really big truck. And I'm driving, I get off the freeway and I start going down some side roads to get to him because he's in some areas where there's like shopping centers and such. And when I'm getting ready to cross over the freeway, there's the turn lane that goes over to the other freeway to get on. And then there's the one that's, the turn and go straight. And then I'm in the one that's going straight only. And next to me, there had been this whole time that I'm traveling. I'm not sure when that truck started to travel with me. There's another truck that's much larger than mine. And mind you, I drive a big truck, but it's a little bit bigger than mine. And it seems to be traveling with me as I travel. And I have become in the habit of not looking over at other trucks. And I'll kind of get to that in just a little bit. So, do you know that feeling, Christina, like when you're doing something or you stop at a light where you feel like somebody's looking at you? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I
And I've
do.
had that feeling several times when I was actually, because we had to stop at several lights to get over. And the last time that we were at the light, I just felt it so intense, but I never looked over. And partially because, like I said, it's just not something that I do, simply because every time that I've done that, there's always a man that is making some sort of lewd gesture, doing something inappropriate. It's just never failed because typically they're men that are driving trucks, and it's very rare that you see a woman driving a truck, especially a larger truck. So I just don't look. I just don't look. So we're crossing over the freeway, and as soon as we cross over the freeway, tell me why this man literally rams my truck. So you have to imagine that when we're traveling, he's slightly behind me and he shoves his vehicle into mine in an attempt to fishtail my truck over like this. Well, my truck takes it like a champ because I have a really large truck, and it takes it like a champ and it rattles me, but I regain my control over my vehicle. And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, like what happened?" I'm stunned. Don't realize what's happened. I just can't even believe that that happened to me. And my son's right there. Like I see my son, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to make a U-turn and turn over, and this guy's going to follow me, right? Because we just had an accident. I didn't realize that he had actually rammed me. I just thought that maybe, I don't know what I thought, honestly, at that point, at that moment. I just knew that we had had an accident. So when I'm trying to pull over and I get over to the side, he just keeps going. And I'm like, what the heck? He doesn't follow me. So I turn back around and I start to chase this guy, and I'm chasing him, I'm chasing him, and I'm chasing him. My son calls me. He's like, "Mom, oh my God, what's happening?" And I said, "I'm going to call 911." I just got in an accident. I don't know what happened. So I'm chasing this guy. And in the Metroplex area where I live, it's town after town. Like you literally will go 2 blocks down the road and you're a whole nother town. Like that's just how it is where in the area that I live. So by the time that he had crossed over about 5 miles down the road, he had crossed into another town, and I'm on the phone with the police, and they know where I'm at. They can track me based on my phone. They know where I'm at, and they're like, "Ma'am, you need to come back." They're asking me though at the time, "Do you know what his his plate number is?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I can see it kind of." So I pull up all the way to the man. I can see his plate number. I get it. He has an Arkansas license plate and he keeps traveling and I keep following him thinking the cops are going to follow me and come and get this guy, but they say, you got to come back because now you're in a whole nother town and you got to come back to where the crime happened because it is a class B misdemeanor what he did. It was a hit and run. So I follow him all the way there because I'm so mad at this point. I'm just furious. And I get there and he pulls into an apartment complex and he stays there and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going in there. Like I can't, like that's too far. Like I'm starting to get scared, right? And I'm shaking and I'm just going on adrenaline at this point. When I get to the apartment complex, he pulls up to where the gate's at and we're probably separated by, I don't know, 20 car lengths. And I sit there and I watch him to see what he's going to do. And he turns his truck back around. And I turn my truck around and I'm like, they're like, you have to come back. And I said, I think he's about to start chasing me. So I come back around and I'm about to haul ass back to where I was. And they're like, you need to start coming this way. And I'm like, do you know where I am? They're like, we know where you are. You have to come back into the area where we can assist you. They're telling me to pull over. I get back to where my son was, where the actual accident happened. And when I get there, two cops immediately show up. They're there waiting for me. I get off the truck. They ask me what happened. I give them the entire description. I start talking to them, telling them what's happened. But I'm like literally physically, like my body is shaking. Like I can't talk. I feel like they must think I'm a lunatic. Tell me why, Christina, these cops treated me like I was a criminal when I was trying to tell them what was happening. And my son was there the whole time listening to the cops and the way that they were talking to me, and they were treating me like I was dumb. They treated me like I was fabricating the incidents when my son saw it, when I was on the phone with 911 the whole time, giving them the entire thing, like play by play what was happening.
And there's damage to her truck as well.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
visible damage.
Oh, it's huge. Like, I mean, he took out the whole side panel of my truck. Like, it's huge. And just treating me so badly, talking to me, talking down to me, both officers, because there were two different officers in two different trucks, both of them treating me badly, one more than another. And the other one was kind of like a Hispanic man, and he was treating me really bad. The other guy wasn't treating me as badly. So they're asking me, well, why do you think this happened? Did you look over at him? How do you know that it was the guy in the truck? And I'm like, I know that it was because I could kind of see them out of the corner of my eye, but I didn't look directly at him. So you don't know what he looks like. You don't know the color of the truck. I'm like, I don't know. I know it was dark. It was at 12:30 at night. I don't know if it was navy, if it was black, or if it was dark gray. It's one of those colors. I don't know. I don't know what color it is. And you have to imagine I'm trying to do a lot of things, coordinating all of this. And they're like, well, why do you suppose he would hit you? And the first thing, honestly, Christina, at this day and age, especially with everything that we have going on, with the fact that there is a pedophile sitting in the Oval, the first thing that comes to mind is that this man was trying to take me. He was trying to disable my truck. And there was something nefarious with every fiber of my being. That's what I thought. Because women out in public are actually being taken in broad daylight. Because in the state that I live in the state of Texas, is one of the states that is one of the 3 states that is where we have human trafficking happening at one of the highest levels in the United States. So the first thing in my head, because I'm a woman, that's what comes to mind. And I encounter men making the most awful gestures, comments, things like that throughout my entire life. I'm 57 years old and that's happened to me my whole damn life. So, and he's like, well, what do you think that he would try? Why do you think that he would want to do that? What would be the purpose of him hitting you on purpose? And I thought to myself, what do you mean? What would be the purpose? And I'm like, are you asking me to speculate? Do you need me to like spell it out for you? And he's like, yeah, tell me what your thought is. And I said, I think he was trying to take me. I think he was trying to disable my truck. There was no reason for him to hit me. We were both in our respective lanes. Why would somebody hit the back of my truck, literally try to fishtail my truck out of control? What would be the purpose of that other than that? And they almost giggled like that could not possibly be it. I continued to like talk to them. By this time, several of the male people in my life, my son, some of his friends, all these people had shown up because my son had made these phone calls. Literally like four men showed up to protect me, like what is happening. And the the one male that is extremely protective of me showed up and he's like asking me all these questions and he's like, okay, I'll be back. I told him exactly what was going on. He took off like a bat out of hell, was going to go look for this guy. And the cop's like, where is he going? I'm like, he said, bring him back. They tell me, okay, he hands me a piece of paper and a pen. He's like, just write down your story like that. Like practically threw the clipboard at me and said, write down your story, and we'll get back to you. And I'm like, okay, so I write down my story, do all of the things. I give him the information. And I said, you said you were going to take care of it. What does that entail? He's not giving me information. He's not telling me what are the steps. He's not telling me how they're going to react to this. What are they going to do to try to, get through this entire process? He's like, okay, we'll just take care of it. And that's all he expected. He just was going to say that. And unless I had asked all of the questions that I asked, like, what does it entail when you say whether or not you're going to take care of this? And he finally told me, well, we're going to go ahead and now that you have a license plate number, we're going to look for him. We're going to go to the apartment complex where he showed up and see if they have any information, if he lives there. And then we're going to send it over to traffic control in that town and see if they know anything. And then we'll get back to you. That was it. That was it. There was no, we're really sorry this happened to you. No sense of compassion for the situation. And I understand that cops go through a lot on a daily basis, but the way that I was treated basically told me that they absolutely had no empathy for women in general, or at least that's how I felt in reference to situations like this. They were not sensitive to the fact that women actually go through this shit every fucking day when they are encountered with law
just
officers.
Another hysterical woman.
Right. I'm just there hysterical, I don't even know why she would think. I mean, she's obviously an old lady. Who would want to go ahead and kidnap her? Like, that's how they were making me feel. And I'm just like, do you understand that women are not even safe in the mortuary? Yeah. That they are violating corpses? That there are men that get off on the fact that there are older women and they love to do it to older women. It's not just the babies. It's not just the little boys, the little girls, the teenagers. No. It's every human. There is no human that is safe.
We had a case here in my town of a serial rapist, and he was breaking into the homes of elderly women and raping elderly women. Doesn't just happen to beautiful young girls and young women. It happens to corpses. It happens to animals. It happens to the elderly. And for me, like, I can't tell you what was in the driver's head, but knowing the whole story, typically when somebody is just a minor little hit and run, they hit you and they run. They don't still kind of wait around to see if you're going to get control of your vehicle before speeding off.
Right.
And they don't ride along beside you to see if their tap had any effect before they speed off.
Right.
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 At the end of the day, whether it was just a simple hit and run or something more nefarious that was going on, and I'm keen to believe V because we have women's intuition and we know, just like we know when somebody is staring at us, we know, we feel it in our bones. But either way, the response from the police officers to laugh at you, to act as if you were hysterical.
Right. Yeah.
That's a problem.
It's a major problem. And even still today, it's Sunday. This happened to me at, 12:30 in the morning on Saturday morning. Even still today, my son is still like, "Mom, I just cannot believe that the officers treated you like that." He's like, "I wanted to say something. I wanted to act, jump in like, why are you doing this to my mom?" Because he said it was and I thought maybe I'm overly sensitive because I've gone through so much in the last 20 minutes, and I'm thinking that I'm just my senses are just too high. Like I'm, it's just a lot and I'm feeling everything. And to hear my son afterwards just so upset about the way that I was being treated after what had just happened to me, he was just like, "I'm so mad. I can't believe that they did that to you." He's like, "I kind of wish that I had said something." And I'm like, "I don't want you to get in a confrontation with an officer. For one main reason is that they were already agitated with the situation. What would keep them from trying to do something to my son?" And I think about
Exactly.
that because my
Exactly.
son is brown. And in the racist state of Texas, that is an issue. It is something that I worry about every single day.
Yeah.
So I just, the reason I even talk about this, because I didn't mention it to anybody. You are uh, one of the first people I told. I have talked to no one about it. But when you and I were talking, and I was so upset that I called you that morning, and I was just like, I started to cry. And the reason I got so upset is because the reality is that women are not safe. And I knew that already. And nothing like that had ever really happened to me. I had heard about it. I've been in proximity of it where there are people around my town, but I'd never experienced something like that. And knowing that now, without a doubt, I cannot go out at night by myself without worried about whether or not something could possibly happen to me like that. I knew it was a possibility, but now it's hit so close to home that I feel stripped of my independence. Even though nothing happened, and I don't know for a fact that that's what was going to happen,
I
but
mean, for
I
all we
really
know,
do feel.
they could have been. I mean, look at the Frozen crew, look at the Peter Patrol, look at ICE. There's been several situations where they've rammed into somebody's vehicle and
Mhm,
then got out and kidnapped them. There's been situations of people who were dressed as ICE, pretending to be ICE in unmarked vehicles that rammed people's vehicles and then abducted women.
mhm, mhm.
This is actually happening right now, today in this country.
Right,
So, even if it was just a minor hit and run, I think that we've got to take those instances more seriously. There's sex trafficking going on. There's fake officers out here kidnapping and abducting people. There's real officers out here kidnapping, abducted, and assaulting people.
right, right.
And we've gotten to a point in this country where, I mean, the black community's known it forever. You can't trust law enforcement.
Mm-mm.
But now it's to the point where it doesn't matter what color your skin is. If you're a woman, you're in
Yes.
danger. And you can't
Period.
trust law enforcement to show up and help you.
No. And I can't even imagine, honestly, Christina, when I think about it, like I can't even imagine had my son not been there with me. Like how I would have been treated even more differently because my son was there. I imagine that those officers held back in the way that they treated me, their treatment of me, because my son was immediately there because he
There's
was waiting in the
witnesses
corner.
there.
Right,
Okay.
right. So imagine how differently I would have been treated when they already treated me like I was a hysterical person and just absolutely not credible. Why were they not concerned about the fact that this man had done that? Why were they making me feel like I was the one that was the criminal in the entire situation? They didn't see that I had this giant gash. In fact, they looked at my truck and they're like, you know,
eh,
like, and
eh,
it's not
that's
even,
just a few
it's like,
$1,000s worth of damage. What do you mean,
right,
eh?
right. And they
Had they hit
offered,
me hard enough, I would have spun out into a ditch and died. Eh.
eh, They just didn't seem to be all that concerned about the entire situation. They just acted like everything out here in the world was hunky dory. They didn't treat it like it could potentially be what I believe it to have been. Again, I don't know that
And you
this
must
is
wonder,
exactly
would the
what happened.
treatment have been different if that was a white man that it happened to instead of you? Would the treatment have been different? Was it a white woman with blue eyes and blonde hair instead
Right,
of you? I
right.
mean, these are legitimate questions we have to ask living in this country today.
I agree. Yeah,
That that's it's just a fact. It's just a fact. Every day we see more instances of law enforcement officers abusing their position.
right. And I just want to call attention to that because I think that it's really important that people start to, and I know that you got after me and you're like, Veronica, why is it that you don't have a camera in your vehicle? And I'm like, girl, I do. I have a camera in my vehicle, but it did not, literally, my last recording in my vehicle was from July 30th. And for some reason, between July 30th to that day, it was no longer recording for whatever reason. And I have one of the nicest ones. Like it records to the sides, it records to the front, to the back. Like it records all, like the whole perimeter of my truck. Even when I'm not in my truck, it records everything. Everything. It's like fully, like it's like a little get back from her truck type of thing. And for some reason that day it didn't record. And so I have no recording of what happened to me, which is devastating to me because I
We
it would
live
have
in a
been
country now where before you can leave your home, you got to go through a checklist. Is my
right.
phone working? Is my location on? Do I have my air tags with me? Do I have them on my personal body and not just in my purse? Just a little advice for women out there today. Go get you an air tag, a tracking device. Don't keep it on your key ring. Don't keep it in your purse. Put it in your brassiere. Put it in your underwear so at least you can be tracked until they take off your clothes. Because they're going to throw out your phone. They're going to throw out your purse. They're going to throw
Right.
all that out when they abduct you.
Right.
So get you an air tag, put it on your body, on your person, underneath your clothes. So if something happens to you, we can track you for as long as possible until they take off your clothes and find the tracking device. Um, my question is I wonder, are they going to access flock cameras to find out who did this to you? Or is that just for when we're tracking down, women who are exercising their medical autonomy?
Well, we'll talk about that right after we have this break.
Yes, and we'll be back after a word from our sponsor.
Listen, if people are going to be mad at you anyway about your political opinions, we may as well put them on a shirt or drinkware or any of the things that we make here at Not Your Merch. Here at Not Your Merch, we make bold political merchandise that speaks out against the current administration that is the literal poison of society. So make sure that you visit Not Your Merch and use Podcast 10 because being quiet was never an option.
We're back from our break. Now let's get right back to the story, okay?
Okay.
Hey, V.
Okay. Hey. So when the next day when I woke up, I went to go went back to that location because I wanted to see what was going on. It was really important for me to be able to see where it happened and the entire trail of how it all happened and where we went.
Yeah, the
So we went
path in
back
the
to the
daylight.
exactly. Yeah, because I needed to see what it looked like and whether or not my memory was firing at all cylinders because I was so traumatized at the time. And I was still traumatized. Like I had talked to you already that morning. And I mean, I broke down. So I was still very, very much in shock and traumatized because we were supposed to record that day. And you're like, girl, you cannot record today. And I'm like, I can try. You're like, shut up and sit down and go to sleep.
Get some rest. You've dealt with some trauma and you're not
Right.
at your best.
Right. So I went back to look, and there are some pieces of like the vehicle in the road. So we're traveling and we go, I mean, I knew everything that I recalled as far as the way that it all happened. I knew the exact path. I was able to get back to the exact location at the exact apartment complex. I had it all in my brain. And so we get to the location and I'm like, this is where he didn't go in, and we need to get into this gated community because I want to see, because I'm in a different car at this point. I'm not in my truck because I don't want them to know that, it's me in case they are in that apartment complex. So we get in into the gate opens, we get into the apartment complex, we go and we drive all around that one and several of the other complexes. We did not find the truck. It's an Arkansas license plate. Didn't find it. I call when we're headed back to the house, I call the apartment complex and I tell them what's going on. Come to find out that they have an officer on site. They're going to look through the leasing office because when we stopped, I did not realize that we were literally in front of the leasing office. So all of the cameras are pointing out towards the leasing office. So they're going to be able to see that vehicle driving up and see us both in the front. And they're like, we're going to get you that footage and we're going to give it to you so that you can go ahead and submit that for your police report. So I'm very grateful for that. Now, the other thing that I was looking at, and I have mixed feelings now about flock cameras. I was very much against them, but in this instance, I don't have mixed feelings when it comes to flock cameras in terms of I think that it's a good thing, obviously, in the case where I need help trying to figure out who this person is, because this person is obviously a danger to society if they're willing to go ahead and ram vehicles and go take off running, because this is a crime. This is a criminal act. And they were treating me as a criminal when they were not even worried about the actual criminal that left the scene of the crime. So anyway, we start driving, and in the city that it actually happened in, there are flock cameras everywhere, but a lot of them are actually pointed towards communities, Planned Parenthoods, things like that. They're not necessarily just at locations for traffic necessarily.
And therein lies the problem with flock cameras.
Exactly.
Are they really providing public safety if they're being pointed, at Planned Parenthoods or inside of gyms and little girls' locker rooms or, all the other places we're finding them? And, we've had lights and cameras on stoplights for quite some time just in case you run a red light.
Red light, right.
Not against that. Right?
No.
We're not against that.
No.
That's a wholly different thing than a flock camera. And I think people need to understand that there's a difference between just regular CCTV that keeps you safe and flock cameras. Flock cameras are all over the place. They keep the data for 30 days. The people looking at the data are not the upstanding citizens we wish them to be.
Right. And that's the problem. That's the problem with flock cameras. And I am very much against that because we have heard how many stories? I mean, literally every single day, story after story comes up on my feed, as I'm sure it does yours and so many other people's feeds, where they're literally using them to track down a girlfriend, to track down a wife, to do something nefarious, look at the little girls in gyms, doing all of these things, and people that are not authorized, people that break into these cameras because they're not secure. There was a sheriff, and I know you saw the story that actually said, I am no longer authorizing flock camera.
I do believe it was an Arizona sheriff.
Right.
A sheriff in Arizona. He's against it because it's a violation of our constitutional rights. And it absolutely is. There's a difference in having public safety cameras and just surveillance of the general public.
Right.
That's a totally different thing.
And that's exactly right. Like, why do you need a flock camera inside of the little girl's gym? I am 100% with you. Now, when I was traveling down that road, there was a flock camera that was at the intersection pointed towards the vehicles. It wasn't pointed, and there was nothing else around there. So there wasn't any building. So that one was truly a traffic flock camera. That one was truly what that was for, because there was nothing else around. It wouldn't have been surveilling anything else other than vehicles. So that flock camera, I'm hoping and praying that nobody did anything to that camera, because we already know.
Let's talk about all the instances where law enforcement has used flock camera data as of late, and that data was wrong, and it almost cost the lives of innocent citizens. You had the minivan that was tracked down and pulled over because they had got data from flock cameras that said it was stolen based on the tag number. And it was a car full of fucking children, honey, full of kids. And the cops had done dragged them out and put them in handcuffs, and they're crying on the curb. And it turns out the flock camera was wrong, and they were looking for a stolen motorcycle.
That is, how do you get that
the
mixed
other
up?
day? They did it again in the middle of the highway in Wisconsin or somewhere. They had the woman out, and everybody had their guns drawn on the woman. And we know how law enforcement's been as of late with their guns being drawn.
Gun happy.
They shoot first and ask questions later.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, The data given by the AI who scanned through the flock cams got it wrong. When AI can't even answer your question on the internet and get it correct, do you think it's keeping us any safer? And there's a show out there, and I'm not promoting it. I don't get paid by this show. I'm not promoting this show, but I think it would be worth watching to understand something new that is happening. So there's
Hmm.
a company that's part of the flock camera company, and they have been using technology to manipulate live feeds. Now, there's a show, I think it's on Peacock. It's called Capture, and it's about exactly that. It's about CCTV footage being manipulated with deep fakes to set people up. That's what the whole entire show's about.
Oh my word.
And about how we've progressed so far in technology that we can manipulate live feeds. Because even what you have to understand, when you watch a live feed, I don't care what you're watching, whether you're watching a live fight or whatever, there's always a delay in a live feed. It's not directly live. You're not seeing it in the split second that
Right.
it's happened. There's
Right.
always a delay. And depending on whether that delay is 2 seconds, a millisecond, 30 seconds, gives the opportunity for bad actors to manipulate the live feed. And I read an article the other day about a company who's involved with Flock that's what they're working on, is manipulating live
My
feeds.
God. That is insanity, but
It's
not
not science
surprising at
fiction
all.
anymore. It's not just TV shows anymore. It's a reality.
That is so awful. And God, I had not heard about that. That is fucking crazy. And it
Yes.
makes you wonder, like, people are using so many things in a very nefarious way that you just have to wonder, do I go out anymore? Like, I have my groceries delivered because I try not to, like,
Right. And I see people
yeah,
say all the time, like whether we're talking about the Second Amendment rights or whatever it is, there's always people out there saying we can't ban things. There's always going to be bad actors. I agree. There's always going to be bad actors. We shouldn't be taking away our freedoms. We shouldn't be getting rid of technology that could help us. But because there's always bad actors, there must be guardrails. There must be
exactly.
regulations. There must be
Yes.
rules
Yes.
to things.
Yes.
You know, yes, there's always going to be bad actors that are going to get a hold of illegal weapons, right? But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have laws around making sure that it's not easier for them to get their hands on a weapon. Right? There's going to be bad actors when it comes to AI. That's why we need guardrails, so we can try to prevent them from easily committing crimes.
And that's where I
And I
think
know
we're
this
getting
from
it.
living on the street. Okay, all of y'all that have been watching me for a while, you know this. I've lived a very comfortable life, and that one time I was homeless and I lived on the street. And I would break into empty homes when people on vacation to have a place to sleep, so
Mhm.
that I didn't have to sleep on the street, or so I didn't
Mhm.
have to sell my body, so I wouldn't be in danger. This is what I did. I was a child. I was literally a teenage child at age 14, 15, 16 doing this. And when you're out here trying to commit a crime, you want to find the easiest crime to commit, right? Right? You're
Mhm.
not going to try to break into a house if you know somebody might come home at any minute. You're going to look for a home where you know that they are clearly out of town. So,
Right.
there's a reason for guardrails. The easier you make it to commit the crime, the more motherfuckers going to commit the crime.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, that didn't take a whole lot of brain power to come to that
Right.
conclusion.
Right.
Right? If you can do it easier than harder, then you're going to do it easier. So by having an administration that has just cut all the regulations off of things and all
All
the
of them.
guardrails and
All of
everything,
them.
that puts us in a position for criminals to commit more crimes and to
Mhm.
violate our freedoms and our security.
And I think that a lot of people know that now because the administration has proven that they're lifting all of the regulations, and they did it on day one. Like, they came in immediately and started cutting all of the regulations so that they could go ahead and do the things because it benefited them. And people know that now. The people that are willing to commit those crimes know that all of those guardrails have actually been lifted. And that's where we need to go ahead and come back and say, I don't necessarily say that flock cameras are bad because of the safety, because of the fact that you do need to be able to find people that are doing things that are really, really bad. But they should be going through all of the steps. Like, why is it that there's more security. Like in a job that I had to make sure that I was able to verify because I was doing a job that was kind of sensitive. I had to verify myself two different ways. And there's the thing about this is specifically when it comes to people having this access to the flock information is what kind of background checks are being done and what is it that they're doing in terms of guardrails. Like there should be people, you should be doing a background check and it should be where like one person goes through a supervisor to show that they're having to view this footage and what is the reason behind it. No one should just automatically have full
Well,
access to all
it's
of
in
these
our
cameras.
Constitution, dear. If you
Right.
want to surveil me as an American, I want to see a judicial warrant.
Exactly. Like what is the purpose
And
of that?
therein lies a major problem with this surveillance. They're
Right.
not having to get warrants from judges
Nothing.
before these unqualified officers are scrolling through flock cam footage and just picking and choosing who they're going to come after.
Right.
That's
Right.
the problem right there. It isn't against our constitutional right. They're not getting judicial warrants to come after you based on some flock cam footage. That is a
And
problem. I'm a constitutionalist, dear. And if
Right.
you want to peep in on me and track my movements, you better have a warrant.
Exactly. And here's the thing about that, though, Christina, is that they come up to people and they bank on the fact that people don't know what their actual rights are. And that's something that is a problem. Like people should know that they need to have a judicial warrant because they're like, we have a warrant,
Yeah.
a judicial warrant, because that's
Yeah.
what you need in order
Yeah.
for you to do that. And we need to start becoming more informed with everything that we've done and everything that we've gone through in the last 18 months with this man, we should be doing everything in our power to know what our rights are so that we can fight back against these people, because that is why some of these people have been able to be taken up, because they don't realize they are overpowered by the bullying that's happening by this administration, because that's what they do. That's all they do is just bully people, and they bully their way into doing all of the things that they've done. And they're going to continue to do it. And it's our job as American citizens to be well informed so that we can fight back against these people, because that's what's going to win our fight against this regime.
And one of the truths that nobody's saying out loud today about flock cameras is that they're putting them out here in the thousands, hundreds of millions of flock cameras everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
places where businesses already have cameras, where
Mm-hmm.
homes already have cameras, where intersections already have cameras.
Right.
So what's the need for the flock cam? I'll tell you what the need is. It goes back to the warrant, dear. Because in order to ask that business to share their footage, they can either do it willingly or you have to get a judicial warrant.
Right.
They get to bypass all of that with their little flock cameras.
Right. They're trying to go ahead and take away your rights by doing that, and they're doing it in a very sneaky way. And we know now, I can't remember where it is that I saw it, but they're actually tapping into people's Ring cameras, into their different home cameras that they have, their home
Ring Camera
systems.
even set up a program based around Find Your Lost Pet, and you could sign up to share your Ring Cam footage
Isn't
in
that
case a puppy
something?
was missing.
Mhm.
No.
No, baby.
If you want my Ring Cam footage, you come knock on my door with a warrant.
Right. Right.
And if you're just looking for your dog, I will have no problem whatsoever looking at my Ring Cam footage to see if your puppy's lost. I promise you the average American will have no problem whatsoever with handing over the footage of their security cameras when it's needed.
But
You
once
ain't gotta worry about
again,
getting a warrant. You show up at my
Right.
door and they're like, somebody was just kidnapped on your street. Can we please look at your camera footage? Okay. Yeah.
here you go.
Yeah.
But
Because
once
I'm
again,
American and I want to
Right.
provide safety.
right.
Yeah.
But this administration is all about no consent for
No
anything.
consent, honey, for anything.
They're
Nothing.
willing to take away all of your rights, your bodily rights, your vocal rights, your just
All of it.
everything
Other
about
countries, and I do mean other countries all across the globe today, are putting guardrails down around AI. They're protecting their citizens. Even something as small as you being a content creator. They're not allowing AI to steal your voice or steal your image. Where here, we know if you're on the
Oh.
internet, you know AI can steal anything from you.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's what they're
You know,
doing. Well, you did you hear that, and I know you did, and I'm trying to think about where I saw it, but that Neti Pot had an interview not that long ago, basically saying that social media is ruining his plans for all of the things that he has in mind, and that he needs to make sure that that just gets shut down.
yeah.
So once
If he can't
again,
control it, he wanted it shut down. He thought it was an
yes, he
awesome
does.
tool to use to spread his message. He had such great things to say about Alonia Muskrat's X platform,
Exactly.
didn't he? But
Exactly.
these
Yes.
other social media platforms that he can't control, they've got to go because, God forbid, you see a bit of the truth.
Exactly. And that's what's starting to scare them is that there are people like you, people like me, people like Tizzy and uh,
We're wearing
Monty
our
and
own
just
body cams. We're
right.
wearing, you know what I mean? Oh, you don't
and
want to show us the footage of your body cam because it might not be in your agency's best interest. That's okay.
right,
Because I got a camera
right,
here, a camera here, a camera here, a camera here.
right,
I'm
right.
good.
All the
I
cameras.
got all the
Right,
cameras, honey. There's one in my front seat, one in my back seat, one in my side piece.
right. Exactly. Mm-mm. And that's what they don't want. They don't want us to start. They think that they can intimidate us and they're trying to take away our voice, our collective voice, because our voice carries. Our voice carries as a collective the entire social media voice of every single person that's on it that makes videos or even just listens. Because let's say, for example, I have a friend that isn't necessarily making videos on social media. They're going to tell a person, guess what I saw? And this is what I know to be true. And a lot of the people that I talk to that don't make any videos, that don't do any of that kind of stuff, they go and they look at that story and they go do the research and then they're going to share what they saw and they're going to share it with like another person, two other people, three other people, maybe somebody that doesn't necessarily believe the same thing. But all of this collectively is a problem for the people that are trying to
Yeah.
push down the propaganda that
That's
they're
why
trying
they
to push down our
constantly are
throats.
trying to separate us in different ways.
Exactly.
They don't want us talking to one another.
Mm-mm. And that's a play out of Schindler's Playbook.
That's a play out of every authoritarian dictator, king, you name it, since the beginning of time, honey.
Right.
That's page 1 in the patriarchy.
Let me get my book. I want to see if that's true.
That's page 1 in the patriarchy, dear. Page 2, racism and division.
Okay.
Page 3, I mean, we can go on and on, honey.
And that is so very true, Christina. And that's just kind of what I wanted to bring to light today. I mean, this is not going to be an episode where we go on and on. I just want people to understand that this is something. I don't want women to feel like that should feel less than. If you encounter an officer and that officer makes you feel less than, I need you to make sure that you understand that you have a right to your story. You have a right to say it. You have a right to your bodily autonomy. You should not allow anyone to make you feel less than. And that's what this officer did. And at the end of the day, and I'm like, I stood up for myself and I'm like, I don't understand what your process is here and why it is that you're not giving me all of the information that I need. That's what ended up happening because after my shock wore off a little bit and I was able to compose myself and not shake from head to toe with everything that was happening, I realized immediately that I was being treated differently for, I'm sure, a number of reasons. But if you feel a specific way, you make it known that that's how you feel. And there is a reason. We have a sixth sense for a reason. This is what it is that actually protects you out in the world.
Yes,
And do
honey.
not
Your
squash that. Never.
instincts. That's the reason
Those.
we have instincts. We are
That is.
animals,
That's
okay?
exactly right.
We have instincts for a very specific reason, to
Hmm.
protect ourselves.
Exactly. And you need to listen to those. Do not squash that little voice in the back of your head because that little voice is telling you that there is danger.
And look,
You
I'm
need
not
to
trying to
go.
make it a man and woman thing, but women biologically have heightened senses and instincts specifically for protection.
Mhm.
There's a reason that women are more keen to smell, have a better sense of smell than men, because we had to smell the food to make sure it was safe for our children.
There
We
you
had to
go.
be able to smell something and say, this smells a little off. I don't think it's safe to eat.
Right.
There's a reason that women can see more colors in the spectrum than men to identify something that might be dangerous for our children.
Isn't that something?
There's a reason our sense of taste is stronger than men's.
Wow.
You know, they cast men as the protectors of women, but biologically, that's not exactly true because muscles cannot protect you from everything.
No. No, they can't.
Sometimes it's your gut feeling,
Mhm.
it's your
Mm.
sense of smell, it's your sense of sight, it's your sense of hearing that protects you first.
Right. Right.
Strength is the last thing on the list to protect you from some shit.
I agree. I agree. And I want every single woman to heed what Christina said, and I'm gonna make sure. I never thought, I mean, I have an air tag, but it's attached to my keys, and it never occurred to me that I should have an air tag that should be attached to my body, and now I'm very keen to making sure that that is something that I do all of the time, especially at night, but I can promise you I'm not going out at night by myself anymore, like, that's just not gonna happen. But, uh, I should be able to, and that's what really fucking
Yeah, this is
pisses
this
me
supposed to be the
off.
greatest country in the world, and I can't go to a
I can't go
Dollar
out at
Tree
night.
because some man might pull his junk out in front of me
Right.
in the middle of the day.
That's why I'm so mad. That's why I'm so upset. I think that that is the thing about this entire situation that makes me the most angry is not so much the cops and what it is and how they reacted towards me, but the realization of the fact that I can't do that because I know now more than ever because of what just happened that that is a massive reality in my world, and I knew it because I saw it out there, but now it's happened to me personally, and I feel it even deeper in my bones, and I'm pissed off about it. I'm super pissed about it now. So
And I
I,
want to, before we wrap up this episode, I do want to say one more thing about law enforcement because I come from a law enforcement family and a military family. And just like as being a white woman, it is my responsibility to call out other racist white people for their shit. Right?
mhm,
That's my responsibility as a white woman, to call out my own people when they do something. Well, I
mhm,
got news for law enforcement officers. It is your responsibility to call out your brothers and sisters in arms. That shouldn't be on me. I shouldn't have to be the one out here telling you to get your shit under control today.
mhm.
If you're a law enforcement officer and you're tired of hearing people say, fuck the police, well then how about you hold your brothers and sisters in uniform accountable?
That is a very valid point because how many times have we seen an officer just watch another officer break
That's
the
right.
law?
We watch it over and over again. We watch it over and over again. Every time there's an officer involved shooting, beating, or
Mhm.
whatever, there's always other officers standing there.
Just standing there. Mhm. Yep.
And
Yeah,
let's pretend
I've
for a minute
seen.
that other officers on the scene, they're just as bad as that one officer.
Yeah.
Well, what about the chief of police? What about the other people in the office? It is time for the good law enforcement officers, however scant they may be as of
Mm.
late, to start holding your people accountable. Because that
I
reflects on you. That reflects on you. It's not a reflection on the public for wanting accountability. It is a reflection on you as a law enforcement officer for not demanding accountability, because that reflects on you. You want
exactly.
people to trust you when they call you for protection? Well, then you better be holding the other ones that come with you fucking accountable.
I don't think anything more needs to be said
And
because that is exactly true.
there's one story that I can tell you about real quick. So this happened in California. There was a law enforcement officer who had overheard several times when officers were saying very racial things, making
Mhm.
racist statements, homophobic statements, and all of that. And they recorded. They recorded it. They recorded it to report it to the police chief, what was happening. And instead of taking that recording seriously and coming after the officers who made those statements, they charged the officer who recorded those statements with invasion of privacy. And while I
I
will agree, it is the law, you're not supposed to record anybody without their permission. I get that. But we're not talking about an officer who was recording other officers just joking around and playing with each other and, or talking about their own personal business. He was recording his fellow brothers and sisters doing something wrong that would definitely, directly affect the safety of the public. So
That's
don't let that story,
crazy.
make you think as a law enforcement officer, well, that'll happen to me too. Because trust me, enough of those headlines that you're being punished for trying to keep the public safe, well, that will result in you being able to sue. So just keep that in mind, honey. Just keep that in mind.
Just so you know.
But yeah, ain't that something? He did the right thing to, it's not like he took
That's
that recording and went out there
nuts.
and gave it to the TV station and said, here, put this on blast. No, he took
Girl.
that recording and he privately shared it with his superiors,
Wow.
trying to protect the public.
That is so sad. That is so sad. That just makes, and they wonder why it is that they have a bad name. It was just like when all of those officers that executed Preddy, like how many were there that were doing the absolute work? They were officers. I'd say that because
The pedo patrol.
Right. It was the schmatzes on the street.
J6s.
Right. I mean, they all stood
Pedos,
around.
criminals.
Right. And then the people that were supposed to be in charge, people that are supposed to be with DHS, people that are supposed to be truly protecting us, not necessarily doing what they do, absolutely were like, was it really a crime though? Was it really like?
Yeah.
They wonder why they have a bad rap when we have that kind of those examples, and that's just one of millions of examples.
And speaking of the Department of Homeland Nazis, so they declared, from Mark Wayne Mullen to Cosplay Christie to Stephen Miller to Tom Homan, that we just need body cams. We need more money, and the body cams will keep you safe. We're going to give them all body cams, which we already knew that was playing in the face because we'd already seen footage. Right. Of like Gregory Bavino telling officers to cut off their body cams.
Right.
We've already seen footage where they had body cams on and they wouldn't use them. And now the Department of Homeland Nazis has come out to say that they will only release body cam footage that is in the best interest of the agency.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure body cam footage showing their agents committing crimes wouldn't be in the best interest of the agency. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole entire reason we started putting body cams on police officers is because police officers were breaking the law.
Right.
That's the whole entire reason, honey. We didn't give police officers body cams so that we could show you the footage that keeps them in the best light for propaganda, honey. That's not the reason. It was to keep us safe and to keep them safe.
Right.
So people couldn't make
she said.
Wrongful accusations against them as well.
Exactly. It was for both sides. It's to protect each one of us because he said this and she said that. And there could be some sort of gray line, and that keeps, just like you said, both of them safe.
It's not for what's in the best interest of the agency.
The fuck out of
here. It's what's in the best interest of the public because they are supposed to protect and serve the public.
Yeah. No, that's just.
And then today another headline came out. They were bragging, we're about to have body cams on all officers now. And they don't turn them on. You're not going to release the footage unless it's in your best interest.
Have you heard? Have we heard any of the investigations with any of the people that have been executed on the street? Have we heard about any of that? Because those investigations are not happening. They're not happening, and they've already said that they're not going to investigate any of those things anymore. They're just not going to do it.
We were supposed to feel better because the FBI said we're going to let the Department of Homeland Security investigate their own shootings.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that'll never happen. They never hold each other accountable for anything. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not going to happen. That's what I mean. It's not happening.
Yeah. I'm sure everything's going to work out great, them investigating themselves.
Girl, I'm so over that. Like, this is just, it's a literal joke at this point. Like, what is the point of that? It's a complete joke. It's a farce. And like, none of this is going to happen until this entire regime. How many days till the midterms? Like, is it what, 80 something now? 83, 87? I don't even know. But it needs, like, I cannot wait. October 19th is the first day for early voting, you all. October 19th. So however many days from October 19th, I know that these episodes are a few days behind, but just know that the only way that any of this shit's going to ever get fixed is if we make sure that we make our voices heard at the polls. And don't ever let them tell you that your voice doesn't matter Don't ever let them tell you that votes don't matter. Don't ever let them make you believe that they're going to be so intimidating at the polls. You show up, and when you're walking by, just be like, you go vote. Don't you let them intimidate you, because we're going to show up and show out.
Yes, yes, we are.
So, anyway, I think that's it for this episode. I just
Yes.
wanted to
Stay
share that
safe
with you
out there,
all.
ladies. A few little tips, just in case you missed it early in the video. Get you a tracking device like an AirTag. When you leave your home, it's not on your keys, it's not on your purse. It's in your tatas. Or in
On
your
these, look.
undies, okay? In your tatas or your undies.
Right.
That way, if something does happen, we can track you for as long as we possibly can.
Yes, that's important.
Your pepper spray, all the stuff. All the stuff you need.
Car camera,
In
if you
tow with
can.
you. Try your
car
best
camera.
not to leave your home by yourself, if at all possible.
That's
Let people
unfortunate.
know where you're going, when you plan on being back,
Yes.
the time frame of all of that. Yeah. Cut your location on your telephone. Share it with one of your best friends.
I share it with a
Whatever
lot of
you need to
people.
do.
I share it with a lot of people. A lot of people know where I'm at. Share your locations. If you can put a camera in your car, please put a camera in your car. Do as much as you possibly can to make sure that you can be tracked and found in case something happens.
Yes. Now, we love you guys, and we'll be back for some more tea expeditiously. See you in the next episode, honey.